Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. It's approximately 1 p.m. Before we have our Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask if you please rise for a brief moment of silence as we reflect back on the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police Department and Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. And also for the people who lost their lives at tragedies in Highland Park and also the young man in Akron, Ohio. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're going to have our Pets of the Week introduction by Jennifer Martinez from our Communications Office.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Jennifer Martinez, like you said, with the city's communications office. And today I am going to introduce you to our dog and cat of the week, and I will start with Sid. Sid is about 6.5 years old and is 20 pounds of pure love. Even though he's hefty, he is adventurous. While he does like food, he would like his new family to help him learn how to portion control and shed some weight so he can live longer and happier. He is the life of the party and hopes his new family will want to keep him around for as long as he can. And then next we have Hiri, a 62-pound girl who would like a forever home of her own. Now, cats aren't her thing, but she does quite well with other doggy friends. Hiri is great on a leash, and she can sit and lie down for treats. And one thing she really loves is getting her head scratched. Hiri makes people fall in love with her just by being around them, and she hopes to work her charm on a family that wants to take her home. If you'd like to meet Hiri or Sid, you can contact the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. Just call 3820018. There's an adoption event at PetSmart that takes place from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's this Saturday. And then there's a Red, White, and Cute event going on this month where the adoption fees are $25. But if you'd like to get your adoption fee taken care of, the Doñana Humane Society will fully sponsor the first 80 adoptions. So if you're one of the first 80, it will be free for you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, next is going to be Dr. Francisco Payades, the Deputy Director of Economic Development, who's going to give us our Jobs of the Week.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For this week's Jobs of the Week, we actually are going to be focusing on jobs posted at the City of Las Cruces. We have plenty of openings here in the City of Las Cruces, so we thought about giving 1 week of promoting some of these new openings that we have. The first one is going to be a library administrator. This is with the Quality of Life Department, and this is with the City of Las Cruces paying between $37 to $54 an hour, closing on the 1st of August of 2022. There's also a position available as a management analyst, and this is with the Public Works Department of the City of Las Cruces, paying between $23 to $33 an hour, closes on the 18th of this month on 2022. There's also the police cadet. This is for the Las Cruces Police Department here in the City of Las Cruces, starting at $18 an hour and closing on the 12th of July of 2022. There's also another position with Public Works. Public Works is hiring, right, for the project manager. And this is with the City of Las Cruces paying between $24 to $35 an hour, and this position will be closing on the 11th of July of 2022. There's also a position available that is going to be closing today, actually, as a food service worker, and this is with the Quality of Life Department in the City of Las Cruces, paying $15 an hour, and again, mentioning that this is closing today. So for a full list of jobs, internships, and volunteer opportunities, please visit employeenem.com and also governmentjobs.com/careers/Las Cruces. And as always, the information from our friends at the New Mexico Workforce Connections Office. Their phone number is 524-6250, and they're located at 226 South Alameda Boulevard here in our downtown Las Cruces. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Dr. Payades. Okay, so next is going to be the audit entrance presentation. So once a year, we get our audit presented to us and worked on. And in fact, I think that's your #1 priority, Ifo, is to present to City Council a good audit. So Josie Trevino is going to kick this off.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Today we have Patillo, Brown, and Hill. We have Heather Lucero and Chris Gardner, our external auditors that will be doing the FY22 audit.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Let me get this going.
And if you don't mind, just stating your name one more time when you start.
Sure. I'm Chris Garner from Patillo, Brown and Hill. Right here. Awesome, thank you. So we just had the introductions. I'm Chris Garner. This is our third year doing the audit for the city. I will be the partner in charge of the engagement. We also have Heather Lucero, who will be the supervisor in charge of the day-to-day operations as we go through the audit process. So required communication at this phase of the audit has not changed, but I did change up the presentation. Last year, there were a few questions on this phase of the audit during the risk assessment, so we've expanded the presentation a little bit from last year. So the first thing we're required to talk about is the timing of the audit. As you can see, planning is getting started this month. We're going to be doing it remotely and on site, so we'll kind of be doing a little bit of each. And what we're trying to get accomplished during this phase is just understanding our internal controls, accomplishing the state auditor compliance, planning for the single audit, and then performing the risk assessment. And those were where some of the questions came from last year. And like I said, I've got some new slides to kind of go over that process that we're going through right now of the audit. Field work will be coming again. We'll be doing partly remote, part on site. We'll be coming back in October and November with the financial statements being due to the state auditor at the end of November. So during the planning phase, one of the first things that we've got to do is just gain an understanding of your internal controls. And during that process, what we're trying to do is just make sure, number one, do we have good segregation of duties? Do we have good processes in place? And then we have to actually test those internal controls. And the ones that we test more often are listed here with cash receipts, disbursements, and payroll. But we actually pick samples of those transactions, and that's what goes on during this phase of the audit. So we're making sure not only do we have good established policies and procedures and good internal controls, but we actually test those internal controls during this process. The other thing we do is during this phase is make sure that we're meeting the state auditor compliance. So the New Mexico State Audit Rule adds a lot of additional items that we as your auditors have to test in our state. And here's a listing of all of those items. But during this phase of the audit, we're making sure that the city is in compliance with the state audit rule and doing the things that the state auditor is requesting that you do. The next slide is the single audit. Since the city spends more than $750,000 of federal funds, you're subject to what we call a single audit or a compliance audit. This year, it's going to be a little bit different with the ARPA funds, and so we're going to specifically talk about those. But during a single audit, what we look at is there's a listing of all the compliance requirements here that we as your auditors have to test to make sure that you're overseeing the federal grants with how the federal government requires you to. So these are all the particular ones that could be applicable to all the grants that we select for testing. During this year, we know that you've already spent more than $750,000 of what we call the ARPA funds. And with those funds, the federal government has said, if you spend $750,000 or more, we as auditors have to look at those funds. And so one of the, we just saw the complete listing of all the compliance requirements that could be applicable. Here are the ones that are going to be applicable to your particular, or to this particular grant. So we always have to pretty much look at activities allowed, allowable cost, and then we'll have period of performance, procurement, reporting, and subrecipient monitoring. So these are some of the compliance requirements that we're going to have to focus on during this year's audit. And I'm going to go a little bit more into some specifics. So with the activities allowed, some of the examples that we will have to be looking for is it response to the public health emergency. Are you assisting nonprofits and small businesses as it is defined in the final audit rule? It can be used for capital expenditures and infrastructure. And then with the final ruling, the federal government did give some leeway up to $10 million. Instead of having to go through the calculation of lost revenue, you can automatically just qualify for the $10 million of lost revenue and spend that on governmental services, and you don't have to meet the specific requirements that ARPA has for that $10 million. So that is something that the city can do. As far as period of performance, this one's going to be a little bit different than what is normally required for federal funds. And so the funds have to have incurred cost after March 3rd of 2021, but they have to be obligated by December of 2024, and they have to be expended by 2026. So there is a little bit more of requirements on when those funds have to be spent with this particular funding. And so, again, that's something that we will be looking at. And I know you will be spending money not only this year, this fiscal year, but next fiscal year. So some of these things that we're talking about really need to be paid attention to, especially, you know, we've never really seen before where it has to be obligated by a certain date and then spent by another date. But that's something that the council really needs to pay attention to make sure that you've got the funds obligated by the end of 2024. Subrecipient monitoring. This is going to be a big requirement of the ARPA funds. So once you get the money, if you pass it on to subrecipients such as nonprofits or other organizations that are spending that money beyond or for your behalf, you still have requirements. It's not like the money's gone, we can just let it go. So you have to go through and you've got to look at your subrecipients and you got to perform a risk assessment on them. And you've got to make sure that those risks, based on audits, based on questionnaires, but you've got to go through and say, are we giving this to a nonprofit that we feel is going to spend the money appropriately? So that's something that you are required to do. And then once you've gone through and you've given it to those subrecipients, you're going to have to continue to monitor them to make sure that they are spending it in accordance with the federal guidelines and the federal rules. And so, again, once the funds are gone, it still is the city's responsibility to monitor those funds and ensure that they're being spent appropriately. So this is something that you probably haven't had to do a lot with a lot of your grants, but this particular grant, it's going to be looked at the next couple of years because the federal government has deemed this what we call a high-risk grant, meaning auditors, you need to look at it and you need to pay special attention. I know the rules just changed back in March with the final ruling. I think it was in March. Up before then, it was kind of up in the air, but we do now have the final ruling, so you should have some decent guidance to follow to ensure that you're spending this money appropriately. The last part I think that we'll go over as far as the planning, you know, we perform a risk assessment, and this was a specific question last year. So what is a risk assessment? One of the first things we look at is the tone from the top. A couple of years ago, when we were first-year auditors, there were some findings and some issues from prior audits. And so when we started the planning phase of the audit, I actually got a few calls from from counselors, specifically addressing concerns. And so that involvement in seeing the past on how the council has interacted with us and given us information and asked questions, that's something that we take into consideration when we perform our risk assessment. So having that higher involvement gives us a little bit more comfort that you're interactive, that you're engaged, you understand what's going on, and so that does help. The next thing is we talked about internal controls, and we just, like I said, we gain an understanding, we actually test those controls. So during this phase of the audit, we want to make sure that all the policies and procedures that have been adopted by the city are being followed. And so we go through and we test those internal controls. Inherent risks. There are certain accounts that just are more risky than others. You know, the financial statements of the city are pretty large. You have a pretty big balance sheet. And so we have the concept of materiality that we talk about every year, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But sometimes, even though an account might not be material, you know, if $10,000 of cash were to walk out the door, that would be something that would get our attention. And so even though it's not a big number in your financial statements, there's a little bit more inherent risk with those types of transactions. So we look at the different cycles, we look at the different types of transactions that happen, and we look at inherently, is there a higher risk with this type of transaction? We do our fraud inquiries. We'll typically send out a questionnaire to council. We'll interview staff, and we'll go through that process to determine what type of procedures that we might need to take. And again, a couple of years ago, when we were at this phase of the audit, council gave a lot of good recommendation, a lot of good feedback, and so that really does help. Preliminary analytics, we just look at relationships. So for example, if you had $1,000 of debt one year and $10,000 the next, well, what happened? What's going on? So we kind of look at the numbers initially just to see what were the changes with some of the trends that have happened over the last year, and then changes in key personnel. So we take all that information in our risk assessment, put it all together, and that's how we develop our audit plan. What are we going to look at? What steps are we going to take to test the balances? And so we're just getting ready to get started with this process, but the risk assessment is key to the audit and having audit success. The next thing we're supposed to talk about is responsibilities. This hasn't changed. This is the same slides that you guys see both during the planning phase and at the exit conference, and then again at council presentation. So the standards really want to make clear what we do as your auditors. So our responsibility as your auditors is to express an opinion as it shows on the left-hand side. What that means is we give what's called reasonable assurance, as it states on the right-hand side. When we're not looking at every transaction. We're testing controls, we're picking statistical samples, but we're definitely looking at everything. So there could be errors in the financial statements. And so our responsibilities as your auditors is to make sure that there are no what we call material misstatements, meaning something big enough to change the opinion of the readers of the financial statements. So if you go to a banker, that error would not be big enough to change their opinion on the financial status of the city. And so that's what our responsibilities as your auditors are. The standards really made into, New Mexico state audit rule requires us to follow what we call Yellow Book standards or government auditing standards. And so in this process, we have to look at internal controls differently than what just regular auditing standards. So we talked about some of the control areas that we look at, like cash disbursements. Auditing standards require that we look at one transaction and we could be done. Well, under Yellow Book, we actually have to pick samples, and we pick statistical samples of cash disbursements, and we test those. And again, we're doing this, as you can see on the left-hand side, to meet that Yellow Book standard, but we're not doing it to give an opinion on internal controls. We don't test the internal controls enough to give an opinion. But what we do in that report is we spell out how we test above and beyond what auditing standards require, and then we communicate, as shown in the right-hand side, any significant matters. And in New Mexico, we actually have to report any matters. So the state audit rule has taken that threshold from significant down to the ground level of anything. So any items that come across our attention during the performance of the audit, we have to include as a finding in the report. The next slide is talking about your responsibilities. The standards really want to make it clear that really the city is responsible for coming up with their own numbers in accordance with the standards that we have to follow, or is more commonly referred to as GAAP. So with GAAP, you've got to make sure that you've got all the right adjustments, you've got all the right numbers recorded, and that you've got to make sure that you're ensuring that the numbers are accurate. And so this includes, on the right-hand side, making sure that the city performs all management functions, that you are responsible for making all financial decisions on how to record transactions, how to get those into the systems properly, and then also the city's required to make sure that you have good, strong internal controls as a part of your process. And so those are all the city's responsibilities. We as your auditors will come in and take those numbers and those controls and then test them, but you're responsible initially to get those properly recorded. The scope of the audit, this hasn't changed since last year. Not only are we doing the city, we're also doing the JPAs, and then also as one of your funds, we're doing the downtown TID. So there's actually 6 separate audits that will be performed while we're doing the City of Las Cruces' audit this year. One of the things, as we go through the audit process, there might be times when staff or council is made aware of certain transactions or situations. One of the things we like to point out is that in accordance with the state audit rule, those have to be kept confidential. Even at the exit conference, when we talk about particular findings or results of the audit, that cannot be discussed until the audit has been released by the state auditor. And that's typically with your audit, you go after the award from GFOA, so your financial statements actually get processed to the state auditor fairly quickly. Usually by the end of December, they will be released. So at that time, once it's released and a public document, then you can publicly talk about any findings, any issues, even the results of the audit. But prior to that, you got to make sure that it's kept confidential and it's not discussed in a public forum. Audit rule changes. Really, there was nothing significant this year. In the past 2 or 3 years, there have been quite a few changes, but this year there's really nothing. It was more just clarifications that the state auditor took and expanded upon their wording and things like that. But there's really no additional testing, nothing that will affect the audit that we have to perform this year. The city is responsible this year for adopting a new standard. We've been in communication with the finance department for a long time. The city is well in the process of establishing this new standards, but leases, how they're being accounted for, is getting changed this year. I personally don't think it adds a lot of value to the financial statements, but the standards require that we're going to have to implement it. So we used to look at leases, and we had different criteria and calculations that we'd had to go to make sure whether it was capitalized or not. Well, now it's just a matter of time. Is it longer than 12 months? If the answer is yes, then we've got to implement this new standard and we have to capitalize them. So it has made it a little simpler, but I think the way that the transactions are being recorded really is not going to have a big effect to the bottom line of the funds or your government-wide statements. So I don't know it's going to really change things a whole lot, but it is going to take a lot of work to get this standard implemented because there are leases all throughout the city, and it is going to be quite an undertaking to make sure that this is done accurately. And like I said, your staff has already been working on this for a long time, and so you're in good shape with getting the standard implemented this year. The last few slides, this is probably not the right forum to talk about some of this stuff, but I just want to at least get it out there because the standards require that we talk about it. But in this last few slides, we're going to ask for some information about different things. If you reach out to us, that information will be kept confidential. And again, the council has done a good job in the past in notifying us and talking with us and working through some of the concerns that you have. So I just encourage to keep that going and know that it will just be used for the audit and it will not be used and made public in any other forum. So those items that I want to bring up now are, if you're aware of any material related party transactions. So if there are any material related party transactions, be sure to let us know if you're aware of those. If you have any concerns of fraud or you know of any actual fraud that's happened, we need you to notify us and let us know what's going on there. The other thing is if you're aware of any special audits that were done by any state agency, a federal government, we need to get the results of those audits to incorporate that into our audit plan. And then just any concerns about any particular transactions that might, you think, warrant some additional testing. And I know that's happened in the past. There's been one cycle that was brought up to us. We tested it. We did have some issues, but it's been resolved since then. So it does work if you just reach out and communicate with us. And so if you need our contact information, I know Josie has it. The best way to get a hold of us is the cell phone number. So if she gives that to you, don't think that's not appropriate, but that's probably the best way to get a hold of us because we're not in the office very often. So please contact us with any questions or any concerns. With that, Mayor, I'll open up to any questions.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Councilor Flores?
How surprising. Thank you so much, Chris. You noted that you listed the JPAs with that are also subject to this audit, but you didn't list Las Cruces Community Schools, and we have a JPA with them. Why is it? Because they're a school district under the auspices of this PED, or?
I believe that with that one, it's under the Las Cruces Public Schools, and so it is not a part of your audit. The reason the other ones are included is because you are financial managers over those JPAs, and so you're responsible for all financial reporting for those. So it's a little bit different of a relationship than you have with the public schools.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for your explanation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, well, that's good. I appreciate it very much, and looking forward to seeing you all around from time to time.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Council.
All right, thank you. Sensei Guzman, if you want to come and join us here in the front, bring your team, and then I'll join you down there at the podium. I see you brought Ernesto. Ernesto showed up. It's good. He was right here. Brought the big guns. Well, I'm glad you didn't think that we forgot about you. You know, if any of you ever bought anything here in the city, you're a taxpayer. You paid that gross receipts tax, and so they want to make sure that we spend your money properly. Okay, so we're here to honor a great karate man, Sensei Eli Guzman of the Guzman Martial Arts. For the third time, has become the national champion in the U.S. Association of Martial Arts. Competitors are ranked by points on a nationwide scale, individually and by the team and by the instructor. This honor was bestowed once again to Guzman Martial Arts and on instructor Eli Guzman on March 18, 2022 in Albuquerque for the combined 2020 and 2021 combined competition years. This is a special honor that could have only been earned by the consistent dedication of the students and the instructors and all those who sacrifice the hard work that it takes to attend these competitions that are held across the United States. So Sensei has 4 instructors, including himself, and 34 local students. And so we're very proud of you, and I'd like to give you all who's here, who's present. It's called the Mayor's Certificate of Achievement. And this is just basically says your name. I'll just tell you for yours. It says Sensei Eli Guzman, in recognition of your hard work and dedication in earning the martial arts national championship, dated this 5th day of July, 2022, signed by myself, Ken Miyagishima. So I'll present this to you. And so we'll see who's here, and you can come forward and you can pick up your certificate, and then I'll let the Sensei Guzman say a few words. Elijah Martinez? No? Okay. Logan Miller? No? All right. Sai Sean Maryun? Liam Kata? Jacob Herrera? John Alex Guadarrama? Jade Swift? Aiden Salazar? No. Juliana Salazar? Brooklyn Rivera? Forgot to bow to your sensei. Yeah? Silas Buchanan?
I'm sorry.
Santiago Herrera? Oh, okay. Olivia Apodaca? Ishan Bhakta? Addison Derrickson? Wyatt Sowards? Angel Herrera. Chase Sowards. Noah Robleto. Chase Kaufman. Emma Claire. Mia Apodaca. Lila Hendrickson. Tommy Vargas. Evangeline Alvarez. Joel Nevares. Angelique Jimenez. Brian Clark. Maya Alvarado. Eric Jimenez. Antonio Moreno. Olga Graves. I hope he gives you a group discount for Lisa Gonzalez. Oton Moreno. Is your dad Oton Moreno? Yes, sir. So I went to school with him. Yes, all right. He was a pretty tough fighter. Sensei, you have a couple words you'd like to say?
Sure. I'd like to thank the mayor and city council for having us here, and I'd like to thank all of our parents that work so hard and put in the time and the efforts to travel and travel. And we have a successful martial arts team here that is just phenomenal. If people don't really understand martial arts, I mean, there's different aspects of competition where they can compete in fighting, weapons, katas, and it's just phenomenal to watch. And I'm grateful to be bringing titles here to Las Cruces, and I'm grateful for all of Las Cruces and their support through the years. So thank you so much, Mayor and City Council and everybody else who put this together. And I'm just truly grateful for all the opportunities that we have as a Las Cruces team, and doing such a positive effort here in Las Cruces to bring kids, to bring confidence and self-esteem to be able to do what they do. So if you could ever watch a martial arts competition, I mean, you'd be impressed with these kids and these adults. And I want to thank my instructors, for always being there and, helping me through all. We have 2 locations here in Las Cruces, and this is a lot of work. And I'm just grateful for everybody, our team. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sensei, before you leave, so share with us the belts for those who took karate a long time ago. It was what? White, yellow, orange, purple. Or are they all black belts?
No, they're not all black belts. So a lot of them are different level black belts. Some of them are more advanced, and they've been with us for a long time. But I'm sorry. So here you'll see a lot of the belts are more advanced belts, black belts, and so as a team starts, they can start up as a yellow belt in competition, but it goes from white, yellow, and on. And a lot of these students here that are, I think, who's the lowest belt? It would be a purple belt here. Yes. And she's phenomenal. So we start them off at a yellow belt level, trying to get them to compete. So you'll see the advanced students here, but they're pretty incredible to watch.
So purple and then would be brown would be next, or no? They don't have that anymore?
Purple would be blue.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not low. That's pretty high where I came from. But anyways, congratulations. You really make Las Cruces proud, and we appreciate all that you do, the discipline, the respect that you instill in your students. And so, 3 times national champs. That's amazing. So. Yeah. So we're going to take a quick picture. So we'll probably do 2 rows, maybe the tallest in the back, and yeah. And don't forget these certificates.
Certificado, John, open the certificate. Ay, qué bonito.
Okay, while they're making their way out, let me do the conflict of interest statement. This is where I'll ask if any member of the city council, city manager, or city staff has any known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda.
None by Flores.
None. None, Avera.
Okay, seeing none. Now we're going to be going to public participation. This is where members of the public can speak to council for up to a total of 7 minutes. 3 minutes in the front in the beginning, and 4 minutes, up to 4 minutes for an item or 2 that might be on the agenda. And if you have to speak about something on the agenda, if you could wait, that would be great. If you have to leave, we understand. If you could just share that with us. Usually I start on my left. I usually start on the first row. This is the one on the first row. And the second row, nobody. I'm on the third, fourth, fifth row. Yes, sir. Just need you to state your name, please.
Mayor, city manager, councilors, and my name is Juan Garcia. Recent reports indicate an abortion clinic is moving to Las Cruces, quote, the Pink House. When the director of the Pink House was interviewed, she stated that needing the area was another deciding factor in addition to Las Cruces' proximity to the airport in El Paso and then a straight shot to I-10, quote. This was excellent research done before opening her new business opportunity. I will not tell you that abortion is legalized killing. You know that. Or the unique purpose of an abortion clinic is to provide surgical death to the defenseless unborn. You know that. And yes, there are unique cases where abortions may be justified. Rape, incest, and to save a mother's life. We all know that. There was much community uproar when a police officer allegedly, quote, killed a defenseless senior citizen. Yet we weep for kids murdered in schools, but we celebrate the right to, quote, terminate at 32 weeks. Why the hypocrisy? And now we want a thriving abortion clinic in Las Cruces, New Mexico, who has some of the most lax laws in the nation to perform legalized killings on our 11 and 12-year-old sisters, daughters, nieces on demand. Your 11-year-old daughter discovers She's pregnant with a massive indoctrination by the media and the schools that is, quote, your body, your choice. She quickly searches online and goes to the HHS government website, which takes her to abortionfinder.org, where she can enter her zip code and select her age, 15 or younger, and out pops New Mexico abortion laws. And I quote, number 1, there is no waiting period, no counseling required. Number 2, if you're younger than 18, you can consent to an abortion and, quote, do not have to notify your parents. Number 3, there is no limit on pregnancy stage. There is no law limiting the availability of abortion based on how far along in pregnancy you are. And if you need help to avoid involving a parent, there's a website that will help you. This is all New Mexico law. Why make it so simple for young teens with a local, readily available abortion clinic and not focus on prevention, responsibility, and consequences? With abortion joining the marijuana industry in Las Cruces, we will soon be known for a thriving industry of addiction and legalized killing. But you know that and are okay with it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was on the fifth row. Anyone else on the fifth row? Just need you to state your name, please.
Hello, my name is Rick Renault. Thank you for counselors, city manager. I just wanted to add a little bit to Juan's comments. One thing that's bugged me for months now is the billboard between El Paso and Las Cruces on the side of the interstate. It seems to celebrate abortions. There's 2 of them. It's just in bad taste, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Beverly Courtney, and I just want to say that I agree with Mr. Garcia and Mr. Renaud, and that we should celebrate a culture of life, not a culture of death, that we would benefit from having strong families and promoting families instead of tearing them apart, and promoting the mother and child relationship instead of breaking it down. And I also believe that that does not represent the majority of our community, which you're our speakers, so I feel like your job is to represent the community. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the fifth row. Anyone on the sixth row? Oh, looks like Kurt Clifton and Mike Johnson back there too. That's good. Good to see you guys.
Is there anything to do with the homeless issue on the agenda that I would wait for?
The Mano a Mano program, but that's a little bit later on. But
Okay. I think Mike Johnson has agreed to give me his 3 minutes, if it's okay.
what did you? Yeah, if you want to. Well, I don't know what Mike was going to talk about, but why don't you just start with your 3 minutes and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, good. I would also
And Randy, I need you to state your name also.
Okay, Randy McMillan, and I'm a lifelong resident of Las Cruces. My dad was born here, grandmother was born here. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you for letting me talk. I would also like to say that I agree with the former speakers, and 70% of Americans believe that having abortions up until the 9th month is not proper, and I would hope that this city would think about that. But I'm here to talk about the homeless issue. We have First Valley Realty, which is a property management firm here in Las Cruces, and we manage a lot of real estate around the city. And I just wanted to give you a few examples of what is happening because of our homeless problem. You're familiar with Ross and Didi's on El Paseo. We're hoping that that gets completed. It's hanging on by a thread right now. because the bank that owns that property is spending $9,000 a month for security. If that was not a bank, it would not be happening, and that deal would not be happening. And the development on El Paseo that we all want to see happen, it would not be happening, and it will start going backwards quickly if we don't address it. GameStop next to Walmart off of Valley, $9,000 a month is what that little shopping center is spending for security in order to keep their tenants there. That's $108,000 a year in expenses over and above what they expected. The value of real estate is based upon the net income of real estate. If you take $108,000 off of the net income of a piece of real estate, it represents about $1.5 million in value. How would you like to own a piece of property here that took that kind of a hit? Something a little closer to home. When those properties are reassessed with values for the tax board, for the county, they're going to look at the income and expenses of those properties. And with these new expenses that are getting hit because we are not addressing this homeless problem, that property is going to go down in value by $1.5 million. That's $15,000 in property taxes. Am I out of time, and can I have any more? Yeah.
Randy, I hear you, and I understand fully. In fact,
Then hear the rest of me, because I have another person that has said he would give me his time.
what I was going to tell you was, I mean, you're more than welcome to, what I would like to do is actually share with you what suggestion that I have. The reason I'm not ready to do it publicly yet is because I'm waiting for our city attorney to kind of clear something.
Okay.
But
well, let me just give you a few more examples, please.
I'll go ahead and give you another minute, okay?
Another minute? He said I could have his 3.
Well, I didn't know Mike and Kirk came here. I don't know what they came here to talk about.
They came here for other things, but they've given me their 3 minutes. If you hear me and if you care about this, then let me talk. I'm giving you some facts.
Randy, I understand what you're saying. And
You don't
believe
understand,
me,
sir. This has happened under your watch. This has become 3 times as bad as it was than when you took office. So you're not hearing me and you're not understanding me. I will take another minute, but I would appreciate another 3 because Mike Johnson has given me his.
Yeah.
You can shut me up when I'm done with my minute if you choose.
Yeah, and
Or
like
you
I
can
said,
hear
I
me
would-
out, sir. I've been here all my life. I've brought all kinds of companies to this city, and we're losing them. And you're going to lose your tax base because of it. And you're not hearing me because it's not getting fixed. I'm going to finish what I had to say. There's a major bank here in Las Cruces that is leaving the downtown area. They have 5,000 square feet, 20 employees. They're uncomfortable because their employees can't leave at night, okay? They're leaving the downtown area. I'm not going to give you their name, but they're a major bank. Goodwill on Valley Drive. Goodwill on Valley Drive. Did you know their doors are closed? You can drop things off in back, but you can't go in their doors. Do you know why? Because the homeless problem got so bad on Valley Drive that they kept coming in saying, we have to use your bathroom. And though they have closed their doors, Goodwill on Valley Drive. Last thing I'll leave you with. Please don't lecture me about compassion, okay? I am compassionate. I would be glad to compare the compassion I show with my time and my money with anyone in this room. So when you all, councilmen, go down to Loman and ask 4 or 5 of these people to come park in your front yard and live in your front yard instead of in front of my building and in front of my clients' buildings, when you go down there and ask them to live in your front yard, and when you clean their defecacy off of your front yard, and you fix your windows when they have broken them, please go down and do that, and then come talk to us about compassion. Because what you're doing to them is not compassionate. It is destroying them. It is destroying them, and it is destroying us.
Randy, do me a favor.
Thank you.
I presume you were talking from some notes, or if you want to email me that information, please, and I'll share with you later. Like I said, I'm not ready to do it just yet, but I'll share with you what the other plan that I have.
Okay.
Really, I do get it.
I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I really do. I'm sorry that I responded that way.
I know it's
But
frustrating.
the fact is, this has gotten worse under your watch,
I got you.
and it has to get fixed. And I'd like to help you. I have some good ideas on how to fix it, and they are compassionate ideas. Okay. Thank you for listening to me.
All right, thank you. So Kirk or Mike, did you come here to talk? Yeah, so, all right. So that was the 6th row. Anyone on the 7th row? 8th row? Last row. No one on my left? Okay, I'm gonna go to the right here. First row, staff, second. 3rd row, 4th row is all staff. 5th row? 6th row? 7th, 8th. No one on my right? Okay, so that ends public participation. And now we're going to go to have a closed meeting statement to read. So Las Cruces City Council met in closed session at 10 a.m. June 27, 2022. Following members were in attendance: Councilors Flores, Coran, Bencomo, Graham, Abeta, Gandara, and myself, Ken Miyagishima. Staff present: Natalie Green from Economic Development. She left at 11:48. Chris Favor, Economic Development. Bill Ham, Economic Development. Leanne Demouche, Finance Director. Dr. Francisco Payades, Deputy Director, Economic Development. Tony Trevino, Public Works. David Cedillo, Public Works. He left at 11:48 a.m. Eric Enriquez, Assistant City Manager. Ifo Pili, City Manager. Jennifer Vega, City Attorney. The meeting adjourned at 11:50 a.m. And for the record, Las Cruces City Council made a closed session and discussed those limited items as stated in the posted notice. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real estate which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 8. Okay, with that, entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Aveda.
Motion made by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Abeta to accept the agenda as presented. Christine?
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councilor Abeta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo is absent. Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gandara is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay. Item 8.1, Resolution 23-004. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second, Graham.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Beta, second by Councilor Graham. Katrina Gadanez will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Katrina Godinez, Neighborhood Program Specialist from the Housing and Neighborhood Section of the Economic Development Department. The resolution I bring before you is an amendment to an agreement. The resolution, if approved, will allow for a budget adjustment to the FY23 budget and bring forth a public health and safety initiative, building a bridge to resources and services for vulnerable, unsheltered, unhoused residents through street outreach. Through this initiative and budget adjustment, we incorporate a spot truck, which will include funding for fuel, supplies, and outreach, as well as a driver and day laborers. The spot truck will operate 5 days a week for 5 hours a day. The city-provided truck will deploy to encampment hotspots around the city through specific site recommendations from various city departments, codes, Las Cruces Police Department, 311, and constituent referrals. Similar to the Inside Out Mobile Wellness Unit in northern New Mexico, staff is exploring partnership opportunities, for example, with the Department of Health and Disease Prevention Section to incorporate harm reduction and community training. With that, here are your council options, and I stand for questions.
Okay, thank you. Katrina, questions? Councilor Graham? Councilor Flores?
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Katrina, for the presentation. Really appreciate it. I'm, first of all, so happy to be able to consider this expansion. I think this program does so much good work simultaneously, and it's, I think I described it before as multitasking. It's the kind of programming that I'm just really glad to have the opportunity to move on. If you wouldn't mind, yourself or Natalie Green, we had a couple of questions that I fielded from constituents, just giving us a little more detailed breakdown of the expansion and what goes into the budget that we're considering.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could just kind of just give me the rundown of staff salary, et cetera.
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Graham, the budget consists of a total of $93,000. $45,000 is staff salaries. $5,800 is operating supplies. $10,000 is for motor oil and fuel. $1,000 for liability insurance, and $31,200 for client support.
Okay, great. And can you just give a little more explanation about client support? Or I also see Director Martinez and her esteemed assistant out there as well. Hi, thanks for being here.
Would you like to answer that? The client support would be for when the spot truck goes to the encampments, they will talk to homeless people and offer them different services provided by the Mesilla Valley Community of Hope.
Okay, great. So, are you coming to me?
Yeah. Everybody's coming to help me.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Natalie Green for the record. So the client support is the day labor wages for the individuals that will be part of the spot truck. So the spot truck will go out and do not only the outreach services, but while they're performing this outreach services, the day laborers will assist in cleanup of those areas. So it would help where we're encountering those encampments to be able to do trash pickup and other items. And if you need more information, Parks is also here. Does that answer the question?
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to make it clear that, again, that there are multiple things going on here. Yes, it's cleanup of some of the nuisance and issues that we've been talking about a lot lately, but it's also providing services and hopefully helping people to move into better situations for themselves. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Flores, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you very much. What is the fiscal impact, and is it sustainable? How long do you expect to have this extension of the mano y mano?
Mr. Mayor, Natalie Green, Councilor Flores. So this $93,000 is for this fiscal year. This is a project that council funds annually. It's funded out of the Telshore Fund. So it would be for 1 year, and then council would have to make the determination in future budget cycles if you would continue to fund it.
And are the mano y mano participants all going to be recruited from the existing Community of Hope or the tent city, or how? I mean, how does mano y mano? What does mano y mano have to do with the different encampments? And is the $93,000 for the additional car, for the additional wages? And we have encampments now already in the locations that you showed on that slide. But I just...
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Flores, if you may remember, the last action item 2 weeks ago was the approval of the original Mano y Mano program, which funds 2 transit vans that takes 20 employees or day laborers out to different areas of the parks to do beautification, landscaping, trash cleanup, in this is a more responsive vehicle, so it wouldn't be managed by Parks and Rec and be on a regular route. It would address, very similar to like the concern we heard earlier, when community members or police and codes are encountering these encampments, this spot truck would respond not only to do street outreach with those people who are camping in front of businesses or in parks or in canals. So the street outreach and the driver would work with those individuals, and then the day laborers would do trash and cleanup.
Excuse me, did you say it's not part of Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec manages the 2 vans.
Yes.
This spot truck would, the destinations and the locations would be managed through another process.
And what is the other process?
As Ms. Godinez mentioned, it would be through various city departments, codes, LCPDs, 311, and constituent referrals, and presumably council referrals.
How can, well, I guess there's going to be a very good communication system between all those entities to manage the extra whatever. Anyway, thank you.
And so this map actually identifies some of the other locations that we've already identified as encampments and hotspot areas. As you know, there's West Picacho. We had a public safety meeting there a couple weeks ago. El Paseo, Idaho area, and then there's various spots across the city where we already know there's some camping going on. And then as you all receive complaints from your constituents or the 311 system, this hotspot truck would deploy to those areas.
And who do we call then? Do we call, what department do we call? Do we call you?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
You can call us.
Is this really going to address the issue that the gentleman brought up just a few minutes ago? You said that it was going to be taking care of those areas that have been impacted by homelessness. And that's why I'm wondering how sustainable it is. Is it a question of coming back next year? And those $93,000 will probably be more, maybe even double because of costs and all that. And how many more people will be able to participate in the Mano y Mano? You say it's not really part of Mano y Mano, though. So what?
It's an extension of the Mano y Mano. So in this case, we'd hire up to, in the truck, because it is an F-250, so there's limited seats compared to a transport van, we could have up to 3 extra day laborers. And so, again, it's a different crew every single day, so I guess you'd have to do the...
So for $93,000, we're going to get 3 more people who will be able to collect trash?
So it would be on a rotating basis, so that's 15 people a week, 60 people a month, and then 12 months.
So 3 people a week, 50, okay, great. Thank you so much,
3 people a
Natalie.
day. 3 people
Perdón, what did you say?
3 people a day, 15 people a week, 60 people a month.
Yeah, it expanded the days, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Beta.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Lee and Katrina. I do see this really as just another item to help combat what we've been seeing. And so when we add a bunch of different pieces together, it will all help, I think, address some of the concerns that we're seeing. Also recognizing that items like motor oil and fuel, as we see different spots, that'll be adjusted on where they need to go, and having to have the client support, I think, is very necessary, so we can maybe change cycles. So I think this is a great program to expand, and really is something that our city needs very much right now. In a year, we can see if was it able to address everything enough? Does it need expansion? Does it need adjustment in any way? I would love to say that it wouldn't be necessary, but I think that it's something that we're going to have to consider as a long-term investment. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm supportive of this. Councilor Flores, I don't know if you're aware.
I'm not unsupportive, I just have questions. Thank you.
No, I got you. But I was going to tell you that I think it started in 2015. Albuquerque Mayor R.J. Berry, he had a program called, I think it was called It's a Better Way. And he basically used homeless people to give them a little bit of a job so that they could help clean up around the city. In fact, I think it got national press on the Washington Post, and then I don't know what happened to it, and then Mayor Pro Tem Gandara brought it forward a few years back, and we changed the name, Mano y Mano. And I like that because it gives those who an opportunity to have a job and a little bit of responsibility, makes money of themselves, and makes income, and hopefully eventually moves them into that category where they're starting to take care of themselves and eventually become very responsible and hopefully have their own place down the road. I like this. I think it's important that they have that job. Having a job really makes you feel good. And I'm not saying you didn't support it, but I just want to give you a little bit of a background on it. And I know we spend money on it, but I think that this is money well spent. So, any other comments from council? I think Councilor Bencomo, she's not here. She wanted to just say that she express support for the Mano y Mano expansion. So thank you, Councilor Bencomo. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak for or against this? Yes, sir, in yellow. Just come forward, please, and state your name. You've got 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors. My name is Richard Barala. I have a suggestion that might alleviate Mr. McMillan's concerns and coincide with the expansion of the Mano y Mano. If it's possible to come up with some kind of a plan or agreement that this spot truck can go to these businesses and clean up defecation. Don't just use it for the encampments. Let's show these businesses that we're going to help them out with their expenses, which is only cleanup, it appears. We can't pay for their security. But
can you talk to the mic a little bit better, please?
I'm sorry.
Move the mic closer.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to use the spot truck to help out these businesses because I'm out there too. I sleep, out there, and I go to great pains not to destroy these businesses' appearance, chase away their customers. But I think it would be a great idea for this spot truck. Offer it to these businesses, and if they're having defecation problems, whatever, maybe we can help them out with that. I'm one of these day laborers, and I will give 200% to help alleviate this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon again. Beverly Courtney. I think mostly I have a question. These day laborers, are they going to volunteer to go to work?
No, they get paid minimum wage.
And then it is a volunteer, it's not forced labor.
They get paid minimum wage if they want to work.
Okay. Well, I have a history of taking a few people into my house, ask my kids, quite a number of them, and a few years, and they don't necessarily want to work, and they don't have respect for property if they didn't buy it and pay for it, like the Desert Hope. I have a house in that neighborhood, and it's kind of related, but I have so many people wanting to rent my house because housing is so scarce with the homeless and with the immigrants that our people that are paying taxes actually have trouble finding affordable renting. One young couple that came to me just today said they can't get an apartment for several months. And so taxpayers should have a little bit of priority. And the second question is, have you looked at this program that's in Albuquerque? Have they had success? Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. I believe they're still ongoing, and I think it's been one of their most successful programs. So again, I think they call it a different name, but the intent is still there. And you touched on something. Earlier you heard me say, I like this because it teaches responsibility, discipline, all the things. And so those are the ones that we want to see and help transition to kind of on their own. So Thanks for your comments on that. Okay, anyone else? Oh, Nicole? Yeah. Just need you to state your name, please.
Nicole Martinez, I'm the director of the Mesilla Valley Community of Hope. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm excited to see this brought forward today. We have our hands full, all of us. I'm sure we can agree on that. So it would be really easy for us to do nothing, to just say we don't want to take on one more thing, but instead, because we understand how complex this issue is and that it's not something that ends overnight, that we wanted to come up with as many solutions as possible to continue to address homelessness that's increasing everywhere. And this was one idea that I had. We love the Mano y Mano program as it is, with the 2 vans and our supervisors, drivers who also do the day labor alongside the clients that are doing it. At the end of the day, you know, we have 20 people coming through our building into the resource room who feel good. They're about to get paid, they're about to get lunch, they're about to get referred to housing, to Camp Hope, to disability services, to therapy. All of that happens with the Mano y Mano program. We've had so many people who have used their money from doing Mano y Mano to pay their security deposit to get into housing. They'll pay for utility bills, cell phone bills, rental assistance. It's not necessarily our business, but we do a survey on collecting as much data as we can on what people are using the money on. And we know that not only financially, the connection to service, but also, as Mr. Mayor pointed out, just how it makes people feel good about having put in a day's work and having done it alongside many other people. So with this, we felt that while it's awesome that we get to go to city parks and it's very structured, we know that there's a gap and there's a need for more services from our community. And we wanted to help, and it felt like a truck would be the best way to do that. So while we aren't taking on a ton more day employees, it's still several people that are going to get to go out during the week. They literally come in the morning, put their name on a list, and it's a lottery system. They get chosen unless they prove that they're about to end their homelessness or they're about to lose their housing. Then they get preference for going out to Mano y Mano. Otherwise, it's first come, first serve, and then get your name picked, and you get to go out, and they can do that day after day to make sure that they're giving an opportunity to provide that service. And we just feel like it gives us more freedom to go out because we don't have any other grant funding to just send people out to go pick up encampments or around certain businesses or in our canals or areas where we see unsanctioned encampments. We felt like this would give us a lot more freedom, again, to help make those improvements and outreach to the people in those areas and make sure they know about Community of Hope and the services we have. So we serve anywhere between 500 and 600 people with Mano y Mano. So when I hear that people who are experiencing homelessness don't want to work, it doesn't really add up. So thank you for considering this today. I hope you approve it, and we'll be excited to get a new supervisor and F-250 going. Thank you.
Nicole, just in case there's questions, do you have any questions to ask Nicole? I think you answered mine. I was going to say, how do they get chosen? And you said there's a certain preference, and then also after that, then it's just first come, first serve. So they come to you, obviously. You don't tell them you have to go work. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and it was There's a Better Way was the program in Albuquerque that no longer exists. So ours differed in that where their Vion drivers would drive around to people who were panhandling, and the idea is there's a better way than panhandling, come work. So while we can do that, instead we've had it mostly where people will come to Community of Hope, and that seemed to work a lot better than driving around and trying to find people. But most of the people who do panhandle come to try their chance at Mano y Mano first. If it doesn't work, then they go out to panhandle. So we think that this might also help alleviate some of that as well if we're taking more people to go out and do labor.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, you have a question?
No,
Yes, Councilor Flores.
I have a comment. I have a request. Thank you so much, Nicole, for doing all of this. But there's cards that you handed out to me, or you handed out to city councilors to give to people who are panhandling. And I've handed most of them out. Would it be possible to give us some more? I think you turned them into the front desk, and then they magically appeared on my desk. And that's been very helpful to refer them to you. So, and thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Flores, yes. If we have this expansion, I think we could buy a lot of business cards. It would help with supplies. And we'd be happy to give them to all the councilors so that you can hand those out to anybody that you see and other business partners as well. And there were specific mano a mano cards. So it tells people what time to be at Community of Hope, on what days, and we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great. All right, well, I think that's it for questions from council. Members of the public, anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-004. Counselor Abeyta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondeta is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, item 8.2, Resolution 23-005.
Move to approve. Second, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Abeyta, second by Councilor Graham. You're not Matt, are you?
I'm not Matt.
Lorenzo, what was your first name again?
Alfredo.
Alfredo.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Shima, Council. I am not Matt Sines. My name is Alfredo Pacheco. I'm the Deputy Director of Finance and Interim Purchasing Manager. I'm representing Financial Services today for fiscal year 22 budget adjustments. We're a little short in financial services these days, and I am tasked with presenting to you today. As I stated, these are the proposed budget adjustments for fiscal year 21-22. These budget adjustments are not for new programs or policy initiatives. The adjustment is focused on compliance and alignment. The last adjustment for fiscal year 22 is in essence a year-end cleanup, and it's typical for this time of year. These are routine budgetary business or best practices budget adjustments. So what we're looking at is the first one, a requested adjustment of $495,518. It's a gross receipts tax administrative fee. It's an increase. We've had an increase in general GRT and therefore the related administrative fee. General fund, $314,111 is a transfer. We have, and this is to correct the environmental GRT. So you see the out of Fund 100, and then the related entry to Fund 2800. And lastly, we have the closeout of Fund 2800 for the same environmental GRT, 100 general fund, 315,326 transfer, 2800 Fund 2800 environmental GRT as well. So those are the fiscal year 22 budget adjustments. I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, council? Members of the public? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-005. Counselor Abeyta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondeta is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, item 8.3, Resolution 23-006.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Abeyta, second by Councilor Curran. And Alfredo will be discussing. I'm sorry, I don't see you that often. You're always in the back counting money, so.
Right. Mayor, Council, Alfredo Pacheco, Deputy Director of Finance, Interim Purchasing Manager, for the record. And yes, just to add to your note, my preference is for my staff to present all of our procurement items, and they do an excellent job, so I just want to take a minute to thank them when they do so. So today I'm presenting the proposed budget adjustments for fiscal year 2022-23. As stated previously, no new programs or policy initiatives. The adjustment is focused on compliance and alignment. There are carryover adjustments, capital improvement plan, which Sarah Cundiff will be addressing, and routine budgetary businesses, and there again, best practices.
So we're looking at, the first item is a requested adjustment of $150,759 expense item, Parks and Rec. This is to carry over the New Mexico YCC, $17,000, and to correct personnel for $133,000. Next item, sustainability. Requested adjustment, $169,700. It is for the items you see there. Consulting service, $74,000. Electrification, $23,000. Electrification code, $24,000. Green cool surface, $23,000. And community solar, $25,000. Next item, Fund 2100, Visit Las Cruces, $287,710, both revenue and expense. And this is a carryover of New Mexico Tourism Department and cooperative advertising. Next item, Fund 2100, Economic Development, $600,000 for revenue and expense for carryover of Artico Cold Storage Lita. Next item, Fund 2100, Parks and Rec, requested adjustment of $82,302, revenue and expense, carryover New Mexico Tourism Cooperative and Advertising. Next item, 2100 Police, requested adjustment, $46,952, revenue and expense, a carryover of Burn Jag, $43,000, and Youth Leadership Academy. Next item, Fund 2100, Quality of Life, $37,948, revenue and expense as a carryover item for fiscal year 22, MOWA $8,000, IMLC $4,000, Mission to Mars $7,000, GSK $2,000, and Library ARPA $35,000. Next item, Fund 4100, Parks and Rec, $75,000, revenue and expense to carry over BOR smart controllers. Next item, 5010 Airport, $291,106, revenue and expense, a carryover item, fiscal year 22 airport striping of $136,000, and air service of $155,000. Fund 5920 Transit Operating, revenue, $3,135,886. Expense, $6,622,260, and then a transfer of $853,906. Related Fund 5923, Transit Capital, $2,340,571 revenue, $3,194,477 in expense, and $853,906 transfer, all to adjust the funding for the transit facility. Next item is the Quality of Life, Fund number 7480, a adjustment of $20, revenue and expense to adjust museum scholarships to actuals. And lastly, Fund 7492, HIDA, $1,062,368 revenue and expense to carry over HIDA GS22. At this point, I'd like to bring forth Sarah Cundiff, who will talk about CIP amendments.
Thank you, Alfredo.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. My name is Sarah Cundiff. I'm the Management Analyst for Public Works, and we have a few adjustments today. I would like to skip out of order here for just a moment. If you see the first 1, 2, and the very last one on this slide say aligned to budget, these are all just for general corrections. As I come over the CIP pretty frequently, usually quarterly, I try to find any errors and just clean them up. So those 3 are simply aligning what you see on the CIP to what was approved in the budget and correcting any general errors. Then we have the LRU striping marking maintenance program, which is directly related to the adjustment that Mr. Pacheco referenced in Fund 5010 or 5010, and that is for the FAA compliance of the striping at the Las Cruces Airport. Parks Smart Controller and Pumps, the same. That was a budget adjustment as related in Fund 4100 that Mr. Pacheco went over. And the last two are also respective to budget adjustments. Mr. Pacheco referenced these are for adjustments to the transit facility as well as transit facility improvements. And with that, I will hand it back over to Mr. Pacheco.
No, let him do that. He needs a... Questions?
Mayor, council will stand for questions.
Any questions of Sarah? Okay. Members of the public? Okay, so that's it? Okay, thanks, Alfredo. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-006. Counselor Beta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Corran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondra is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, item 8.4, Resolution 23-007. Need a motion and a second?
So moved, Abeta.
Second, Graham.
Motion made by Counselor Beta, second by Counselor Graham. You're not Rocio?
I am not.
Okay, just need you to state your name, please.
Amy Knoll with the Grants Department. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Amy Knoll, Grants and Compliance Specialist. Okay. Before you today is a budget adjustment for the fiscal year 22-23. Detailed out here. The FY 2023 Juvenile Citation Program. This is budgeting the revenue and expense. This is a new grant coming in, and the amount is detailed here with the city's match and a contractor match. The other grant that's before you for acceptance is the 2021 HIDA grant mod number 7. This is a small reduction in $420 that we've received. And that's it, just the two.
Well, that was a quick presentation.
It
I barely
is.
looked down, and you're done.
Boom.
Okay. Questions, council? Members of the public? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-007. Counselor Abeta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Corran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondara is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to board appointments. And to the Planning and Zoning Commission, reappointment from District 3, James Bennett. And reappointment from District 5, Luis Guerrero. Next is going to be to the ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act Advisory Committee, Leslie Alexander. That's a new appointment. I'll need a motion and a second, please.
So moved by Flores.
Seconded by Corrin.
Motion made by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Corran. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Leslie Alexander to the ADA Advisory Committee. Counselor Abeta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Corran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondara is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, next is to the Realize Las Cruces Ad Hoc Committee, Daniel Buck, coming from Councilor Corran's district or appointment. I need a motion and a second.
So moved, Corrin.
Second by Flores.
Motion by Councilor Corran, second by Councilor Flores. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Daniel Buck to the Realize Las Cruces Ad Hoc Committee. Counselor Abeta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Corran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondra is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Also to the Realize Las Cruces Ad Hoc Committee, Carrie Hamblin, Councilor Corran's appointment. Motion second.
So moved, Graham.
Seconded, Corrin.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, second by Councilor Corran. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Carrie Hamblin to the Realize Las Cruces Ad Hoc Committee. Counselor Abeta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo is absent. Counselor Corran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondara is absent, and Mayor.
Yes. Okay, there are no notice of proposed ordinances. Before we get to council member board reports, sir, you sound, did you? Yeah, why don't you come forward, please?
Thank you, council members. My name is Richard Anthony DiMaria. I've lived in Las Cruces now 7 years. My wife and I moved here. She passed away a little over a year ago after 64 years of marriage. Now we can, maybe you can answer this question real quickly, and then I'll know if I keep on yakking or whether I don't. Did we or did you not in the city here have a restriction on firecrackers?
No, the restriction is called Safe and Sane. It's called Safe and Sane, which allows certain fireworks to be had. Now, the ones that are restricted are the ones that go up in the air.
All right, then I can continue. Now, I live in District 5. My wife and I bought a new home in a subdivision. Yesterday at approximately 6:50 p.m., there was a blast that went off. Well, first let me tell you, I'm a veteran. I served in the Second Army from 1950 until 1952. And I know when I hear an explosion of that sort that I heard that actually happened at my home, sounded like someone that set off a 105. So things in my house even shook, so I went outside. About 150 feet from my home to another home, kitty corner from my place. There was a couple of young guys there, and they had set something off in the front. I don't know what it was. So anyway, I hollered at them and said, "Hey, you can't be doing that. There's a law against it," as I understood it. Well, they didn't like that, and they expressed their dissatisfaction with me quite pleasantly. So anyway, I called the fire department. I called 911, and they got me into the fire department. The fire department shows up. I told them what happened. They talk to the individual, and they leave. That was it. So pretty soon, these two same individuals went out back of the residence and fired off a couple more of these huge rockets, whatever the heck they were. They go up approximately 150 feet and then would explode, and all kinds of debris would fly all over. So then I called the same number again of what was the same fire department crew that stopped. The young woman answered the phone. I said, "Hey, these guys are setting it off again." She said, "Well, we told them if they didn't stop, we'd come and confiscate it." So a few minutes went by, and the guy next door to me, who is on the Border Patrol, he had about the same type of mentality. He starts firing them off. So then this guy across the road, he decides to come over to my place and starts making accusations and threats. And I didn't talk to him very nicely and told him to get off of my property. And I told him if he didn't leave, that I would take action against him, of which he wouldn't have liked. So anyhow, the story goes on. He makes a couple of threats at me, and the next thing I know, police show up. Now, the guy next door has got these rockets. Now, understand, these things went off for a total of over 2 hours. And debris was flying all over on top of the roofs. It was unbelievable. I can't imagine somebody wasting that kind of money on that kind of junk. So anyway, it was so loud and so much it sounded like a battery, a military battery that was firing at an enemy position. So the 4 police show up, and they come up to my place. Evidently, the guy told them something about me, and the first thing they asked me if I owned a pistol. I said yes. And they asked me what type, and I told them. And then they searched me, and I was sitting there. Now, I'm an 88-year-old man and can barely get around. So anyhow, these 2 police officers, 2 others showed up. I don't know what they did. They were walking back and forth out on the road. In the meantime, while the police are there, this guy next door to me is shooting off these rockets up in the air, and I mean, their explosions was unbelievable. And the police didn't do anything about it, and the fire department didn't do anything about it. So my point was, why is it that either they don't know what the restrictions are, or no one told them what the restrictions are? But my question is why is it that the authorities in this city did not enforce what had been stated at the beginning of this, of what was the restrictions? They had sparklers and little things too, but these rockets, I mean, there was, it went on for 2 hours, and they were regular. They were like every minute or two, these rockets going off. So,
Mr. DeBerry, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my card, and if you, do you email? Do you have email?
No, sir, I don't have a computer. Okay. I'm a computer illiterate. I can barely work this stupid cell phone I got.
Okay. Well, we'll be done here in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
If you want to wait, and then I'll meet with you, and then you can give me your address and phone number, and then we'll find out an answer from you from the police and fire department. Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir. Well, you can just wait here. I'll just wait here in the chambers. We'll be here in about, when we finish, then I'll bring you forward. Is that okay?
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And thank you for your service, sir. Okay, so that takes care of some member board reports, other than to say that the city-sanctioned fireworks show was excellent. So EFO, please convey that to our Parks and Rec, our maintenance crew, the communications office, all that was put forth. I mean, I know it's a lot of hard work. They always have a great crowd. Everyone always enjoys it, and the fireworks show was incredible. So that's the city fireworks show. Yours is a little bit different. I just wanted to convey that, EFO, and I'm glad you were able to experience it. And so I think it was a lot of fun. Okay, that's all I have. Councilor Flores? Yeah, board comments.
Thank you, Mayor. There are 2 things I want to announce. Please reserve October 15. It'll be the aerospace show put on by the airport people, by our city. At the airport, and it used to be called Wings and Wheels or Wheels and Wings, but this will be definitely different, and with the emphasis on aerospace, and again October 15, and last year Ikani and I were at the Wings and Wheels, and it's a wonderful event, and they featured women who the very few women who broke that glass ceiling where aeronautics or whatever were limited to men. So it was really wonderful to see all these pioneers, women, and some of them were young. I mean, it wasn't as if they were in their 80s or 90s. Some of these women were in their 30s, where certain 30s or 40s women who in areas related to air and space and all that sort of stuff, where those opportunities had been denied. The other is at the parade on July 3. Thank you so much, Parks and Recreation. It was a beautiful parade. It was well attended. I was fortunate to be on a float, and it was organized in part by my intern, Gabe Holguin, who just walked in. So thank you, Gabe. He's also a trustee for the city of Anthony. And it was a beautiful parade, and the pictures that were captured by the Statue of Liberty in, I think it was today's newspaper, was amazing. And the floats were beautiful. So thank you again, Sonia, and your department, Ms. Delgado. It really brings out, it's wonderful to ride that float because of the faces that you see. And happy faces, and people just really rooting, and happy 4th of July and all that sort of stuff. And the float I was on, Howie Morales, our lieutenant governor, happened to be on it. And he had his name spelled out with these big letters, so there were like 5 people holding an H, an O, a W, an I, an E. And when the float stopped, the kids were just chanting, Howie, Howie, Howie. And I said, say howdy to Howie. And they, howdy, Howie. And then I said, this is your lieutenant governor. And there was this big roar. So I just want to thank you again, Sonia, for doing that, Mr. Peely, for allowing staff to do this. I hope we continue to do it, from here on forever, because it really brings the community together. So that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So you were on the float?
Yes, I was on a float.
Were you throwing out candy?
No, we couldn't, because we were restricted. We were told not to throw anything out, but I did hand out a flag. And the little girl was thrilled, and then all the little kids ran up expecting, and I just had the one. But no, we can't throw candy. But IFO, by the way, asked me if we had a Miss Las Cruces. Do we have a Miss Las Cruces? And why we don't have, the city doesn't have a float. IFO, where are you? Anyway, conveniently isn't here.
I think the Miss Las Cruces is Alexis Reyes, I think.
I think she became an actress she's actually like in New York, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Alexis Rey? Yeah.
No, Reyes.
Oh, well, there was a Rey too.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, at any rate, anyway, IFO brought that up. I don't know what the complexities or legalities are. I didn't even know there was a Miss Las Cruces.
Reach out to Belia, because I think her and her hubby still do that.
Oh,
Curtis? I think they run the Miss USA. So
oh, really?
I think so.
So anyway, yeah, that would be a good idea. And what IFO said was that theirs was just a car parade. IFO, I'm talking about you behind your back, about the parade and how the city doesn't participate. And you shared that you would have cars, it would be more like a car show. And I said, Joanne Ferrari has this classic Camaro convertible, and it'd be great. And IFO said that they threw out candy, just tons of candy to the kids. So I don't know if we can do that, but anyway, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Councilor Coran?
Thank you. I also want to give a quick shout out of gratitude to Ms. Delgado regarding, in particular, the parks in District 5. I've been getting a lot of questions from constituents, and thank you for sharing the 22 parks that are up and running or in progress in our district, which is quite a bit, and I really appreciate the updates on what's happening and what's upcoming there. So I will feed that back to the folks in my district who have been asking about what's up and coming in our area. I also wanted to just give some quick updates related to the Animal Services Center. If you haven't heard the GeoBond, we had the GeoBond update, but we're hopeful that the grand opening will be in December. And coming to council and sort of in our greater conversation, the JPA is in the process of being updated, and the ASCMV is looking at formally hiring the TNR coordinator position that will help with our program related to that. So I just wanted to give some quick updates coming from the ASCMV of things that are moving along there and things that will be on the horizon and that you'll be hearing about. The last thing that I just wanted to touch on personally is related to the rhetoric around homelessness. I am troubled by ongoing rhetoric that suggests homeless people are threats to our general health and safety. I think that polarizing language related to that, and in particular, the problematic rhetoric that suggests people should take it into their own hands to fight homelessness, and I think that means it has an implication of violence, and behind it, I really want folks to consider what it means to live in a community where people are very close to being unhoused, where many people struggle to find medical care, health care, mental health care, addiction services. And I know that many people are working the faith community. There was a really great article last week about what Councilors Bencomo and Gandera and City Manager Pili were working with the faith community to think about that, and the community of hope. I just want to sort of go on the record to say, I urge us to tone down the rhetoric that stigmatizes and problematizes people living on the street, and I do that in the context of knowing that many people aren't very far from that possibility in their own lives, and so I would ask us to consider going beyond compassion and really taking an empathic view and understanding what our rhetoric means in the context of the people who live among us, and contribute to our city in really meaningful ways. So I just want to urge us collectively here in the chambers to have empathy and thoughtfulness when we talk and work with people. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Curran, for saying that. I'm going to pick up that thread where you left off. I just want to acknowledge everyone who has reached out since I put out a statement on the ongoing issues surrounding the Desert Hope Supportive Housing Complex. Many thanks to Mandy and the team at Communication for helping me get that out. That's available on my counselor page on the city website, and there will also be paper mailers going out to some of the folks living in and around that neighborhood. Whether or not you approve of the solutions we're pursuing, I think it's undeniable that we're working on this diligently. The Mano a Mano expansion is just one example. I also wanted to shout out the Faith for the Unhoused meeting that Councilor Curran mentioned. Both of my colleagues who were present on the council side aren't here today, but I wanted to thank Mr. Peely for being present there, and I heard that the statement you made was very impactful and moving. And I agree that, you know, I will not stop calling for compassion, I will not stop calling for empathy, and I will not stop cultivating that in myself for everyone involved in the situation. Second, I just wanted to give a congratulations to NMSU's TRIO Upward Bound program on a very well-deserved $5+ million grant from the U.S. Department of Education. This is a program based at NMSU, well, that's one of the many branches of it, that helps low-income and first-generation students attend and graduate from college. And as an instructor at NMSU and DACC, I've worked with a lot of really outstanding TRIO students experience over the years, so I was just very happy to hear that that program is earning some very well-deserved ongoing support. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Beta.
Thank you, Mayor. In continuation of the accolades for Parks and Rec, I want to bring up two issues. One, we continue to move forward with the planning of Tony Gomez Park and Frencher Park, and it is actually really wonderful to see some of these ideas from our community come together, and I really look forward to being able to share that with everyone on the council, and knowing that making these investments in District 2 are very much needed. I do have research going on to look at an equity base of what's been happening in District 2 and how much infrastructure dollars that the city has put into this district. As we look at expansion, as we've done a lot of other items in other districts, it does feel a little different, but I know what feels there and what's real can be two very different things. And so I'm really going back and looking at what those items are, especially with the help of my intern, Brandy, as well. So thank you, as we really can justify why it's so important to make these investments. And I also want to say thank you to Robert Nunez, actually for helping with a constituent issue that got brought up with education, compassion, and continued learning. And so I just want to thank you for your responsiveness and working with these individuals. So thank you. This last week, I attended the MivVita strategic planning session. Elizabeth Teeters also was present. We looked at alignment with all the entities that work with MivVita and regional messaging so that we can move forward and really utilize the extra $50,000 that we gave as well for this program. And then with the Municipal League, I did want to mention that they will be having their conference at the end of August. So as soon as that information is sent out, we'll make sure that Christine can deliver it to all the councilors. And I will be running for president-elect for Municipal League. So we do get two individuals that can vote. So I encourage another councilor to come. So thank you. And I did want to say thank you as well to Mr. Pleely with the article that helped showcase our Lift Up Las Cruces. I know we've talked about it a lot here, but it was good to see it showcased for all of the community and to look at what we can do to help make sure that this is a program that is funded on a yearly basis, because it's going to take a while, but I'm very excited to see us using initiatives like that, like the Bono y Mano program. All those things tied together, I think, is what is going to help us really address some of these needs and those systemic problems. So thank you, and thank you, Mayor.
So what are you going to do if you're elected president? Are you going to reduce our membership fees? Or what's your platform? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I'll give you a 10-minute platform here in a bit.
All right. Thank you. Okay, City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. First of all, I appreciate the accolades given to our Parks and Recreation. I know Sonia's here, and I'm sure she'll pass it on to her staff as well. I will say this is the first time I actually came to the 4th of July festivities. I was out of town last year. And I was really impressed from last night to just everything that's going on. I just wanted to also thank you for expressing the accolades towards our Parks and Rec. Thank you, Sonia, and your team. And again, I'm sure she'll pass it on to her staff as well. The other thing I wanted to bring up is Las Cruces Community Development Department has received an award. And the only way I can describe it is if you were in the NFL, this would be your MVP award in the league. But this is from the International Code Council. And I mean, big kudos to Larry Nichols and his department. This is so International Code Council, it is international, and it's 64,000 professionals. And Larry and his department has received this award. It's a prestigious award called Raising the Profile Award, and it promotes interest from developers, business, investors, and citizenry by knowing that development services in Las Cruces enable them to enjoy a livable, vibrant, safe, and prosperous environment for both now and into the future. I'm just reading a little excerpt here, but the award is given in recognition for their innovation and creativity, especially during the time of the pandemic, to allow development to move forward in spite of the challenges there. I'm sure Larry could give more detail, but they're flying them out to the international conference, and we'd like. I just want to recognize him. I think everybody should. It is a really big deal. So I want to recognize Larry for that as well. Also, regarding Lift Up, we are excited to be kicking that off. July 30th will be our kickoff. More information to come as we get a little bit closer, but that's going to be the kickoff. We're blocking off Ash Street. And again, we'll provide more detail, but this is going to be the start of the program, and definitely looking forward to it, definitely getting excitement from the community about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Sounds good. Okay, well, if there's nothing further, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Flores.
Motion made by Councilor Abeyta, second by Councilor Flores, that we adjourn. Christine?
This is on the motion to adjourn the regular meeting. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo is absent. Councilor Corran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondeta is absent. And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, it's 2:56 p.m. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.